I've been working on F-150s for over 25 years, and in the last few months alone, I've seen 7 EcoBoost 3.5 engines come into my shop completely destroyed. Not from accidents, not from bad luck, from the exact same mistake, over and over again. A mistake that takes less than 10 minutes to prevent, costs almost nothing to fix, and almost nobody does it. These were good trucks, well maintained, owners who cared about their vehicles. They changed their oil on time. They went to the dealership for service. They did everything they were supposed to do, and their engines still failed. These owners had no warning, no check engine light, no strange noise, no smoke before the day it happened. One day their truck was running perfectly fine. The next day, it was gone. A $12,000 repair bill, sometimes more. Sometimes the engine is so far gone that repair isn't even an option anymore. One guy last month, good guy, had his F-150 for 9 years. He was 3 months away from paying it off. 3 months, and his engine seized on the highway doing 65 miles an hour. Tow truck, shop, bad news. The truck he spent 9 years paying for, gone. Because of something that costs less than $20 to prevent. And every single time, when I sit these owners down and tell them what caused it, they all have the same reaction. They go quiet for a second, and then they ask me, why didn't anyone tell me this? And honestly, that question bothers me every single time I hear it. Because the answer is simple, and it's frustrating. Nobody told you because nobody profits from you knowing. The dealership makes money when your engine fails. The parts manufacturer makes money when you need a replacement. The towing company, the rental car, the extended warranty people, they all benefit from you not knowing how to keep your engine alive. But I've been on the other side of that counter for 25 years, and I'm tired of watching good people lose good trucks to problems that were completely avoidable. That's exactly why I made this video. Because what I'm about to show you today could save your F-150's engine. It could save you thousands of dollars, and it could add 100,000 miles or more to the life of your truck. I'm going to walk you through 5 simple things. 5 things that take less than 10 minutes total, that you need to do once a month, starting today, to make sure your EcoBoost 3.5 reaches 300,000 miles or beyond. These are not things you will find in your owner's manual. Ford will not tell you this. Most dealerships will not tell you this. Even a lot of mechanics won't tell you this, because if your engine lasts forever, they lose business. It's that simple. But you are going to know, right now, for free. Here is exactly what we are covering today. Number 1, the oil mistake that is silently killing EcoBoost engines all across America right now. And I want to be clear, it is not just about changing your oil on time. It goes much deeper than that. And the answer is going to surprise most of you. Number 2, a completely free reset that removes carbon buildup from your turbos before it becomes a $4,000 problem. This takes about 5 minutes. It costs absolutely nothing, and I guarantee almost none of you are doing it. Number 3, the coolant check that Ford specifically engineered for the EcoBoost system, a separate cooling circuit that exists on your truck right now, that 90% of F-150 owners have never checked, not once. And when it fails, and it will fail if you ignore it, the repair bill is devastating. Number 4, a fuel system habit that takes 30 seconds every time you stop at a gas station. 30 seconds. And it can double the life of your fuel injectors. Injectors that cost over $1,000 to replace. And number 5, this is the big one. This is the check I perform on every single F-150 that rolls into my shop. Every time. Without exception. It involves a part that costs between $15 and $40. A part that, when it fails undetected, can cause up to $8,000 in engine damage with zero warning beforehand. I'm going to show you how to test it yourself in 60 seconds. If you do these 5 things consistently, once a month, every month, I promise you that your EcoBoost 3.5 will outlast trucks that cost twice as much and were maintained at the dealership every single time. These are the habits that separate the F-150 owners who hit 300,000 miles from the ones who are back at the dealership at 80,000 wondering what went wrong. Let's get into it. But real quick, before we start, if this is the first time you've landed on this channel, I want to tell you something. Every single week I put out videos exactly like this one. Real information, real problems, real solutions. No fluff, no filler, no wasted time. Stuff the dealership will never tell you. Stuff that saves F-150 owners real money in the real world. I've had guys write to me and say a single video from this channel saved them $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in repairs they would have never seen coming. That's why this exists. That's the whole point. If that sounds like something you want more of, and I genuinely hope it does, hit the subscribe button right now. It is completely free. It takes 1 second. And you will never miss a video like this one again. We have a great community of F-150 owners here who are serious about taking care of their trucks the right way, and I'd love for you to be part of it. All right, you subscribed? Good. Because what I'm about to tell you next, starting with number 1, is the thing I wish every single F-150 owner knew before they ever put a key in the ignition for the first time. Let's talk about the number 1 engine killer I see walking through my shop doors every single week. And trust me, once you hear this, you will never look at your truck the same way again. All right. Number 1. And I need you to pay very close attention here because this is the mistake I see more than anything else, more than bad spark plugs, more than dirty air filters, more than anything. The single most common reason EcoBoost 3.5 engines fail before their time is the wrong oil viscosity. Now I know what some of you are already thinking. You're thinking, I change my oil every 5,000 miles, I use the good stuff, I do everything right. And I believe you. I'm not talking about lazy owners who never change their oil. I'm talking about responsible owners who are doing exactly what Ford told them to do, following the manual, trusting the dealership, and still losing their engine. Here's what's actually happening. Ford's official recommendation for the EcoBoost 3.5 is 5W30. That's in your owner's manual. That's what the dealer puts in every single time you bring it in for service. That's what the quick lube place down the street uses. 5W30. And for a lot of engines, 5W30 is perfectly fine. But the EcoBoost 3.5 is not a lot of engines. The EcoBoost 3.5 runs twin turbochargers, 2 turbos working together under your hood. And those turbos spin at speeds up to 170,000 revolutions per minute. Let me say that again because I want it to sink in. 170,000 RPM. For reference, your engine at highway speed is turning maybe 2,000 RPM. The turbos on your EcoBoost are spinning 85 times faster than that, at temperatures that can exceed 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit inside the turbo housing. At those speeds and those temperatures, the only thing standing between your turbo bearings and complete metal-on-metal destruction is the oil film. A microscopic layer of oil between moving parts. And 5W30, especially after 5,000 miles, especially in summer heat, especially when you're towing or hauling a load, gets too thin at those temperatures. The viscosity breaks down, the oil film thins out, metal starts touching metal. You can't hear it, you can't feel it, there's no warning light, but it's happening. Every single time you push that truck hard with the wrong oil. So what should you be running instead? Here is what I personally recommend. After 25 years of working on these engines and seeing what actually keeps them alive long term. For most climates and normal driving conditions, 0W40 full synthetic. You want a European spec oil. Look for the letters ACEA A3B4 on the label. That spec means the oil was formulated for high-performance turbocharged engines and maintains its viscosity under extreme heat and pressure far better than a standard 5W30. For hot climates, if you live somewhere where summer temperatures regularly hit 90 degrees or above, or if you tow regularly, if you haul heavy loads, if you use your F-150 the way an F-150 was built to be used, go to 5W40 full synthetic. Same ACEA spec, just a slightly thicker base that holds up even better under sustained high load conditions. Now here is the monthly check, and this is simple. Takes 2 minutes. Once a month, and I mean once a month, set a reminder on your phone right now if you need to. Before you start the engine in the morning, while everything is cold and settled, pull the oil dipstick. Wipe it on a clean rag. Push it back in all the way. Pull it out again. Look at 2 things. First, the level. It should be between the minimum and maximum marks. If it is below the midpoint, top it off immediately. Do not wait until your next oil change. The EcoBoost 3.5 can consume up to a full quart of oil every 1,000 miles under normal driving conditions. Ford acknowledges this. It is not a defect. It is a characteristic of the engine design. But if you are not checking it, you may be running low without knowing it. And a low oil level on a twin-turbo engine is a very fast path to very expensive damage. Second, look at the color and the texture of the oil on the dipstick. Fresh, healthy oil is amber-colored and smooth. It should look almost like honey. If what you see on that dipstick is dark brown, close to black, and feels gritty or rough between your fingers when you rub a little between your thumb and index finger, your oil is degraded. It has lost its protective properties, and it needs to be changed regardless of how many miles are on it. Oil degrades from heat, not just from mileage. Short trips, stop-and-go traffic, hot climates, these degrade oil faster than the mileage counter reflects. If your oil looks like used coffee grounds, you are already running on borrowed time. Get the right oil in that engine, check it once a month, and you will have solved the #1 killer of EcoBoost engines right there. All right? Number 2. And this one is 100% free. No parts, no tools, no mechanic required. I call it the EcoBoost Turbo Cooldown Routine. And I have been teaching this to every F-150 owner who comes through my shop for the last 8 years. It takes between 3 and 5 minutes, costs absolutely $0, and it prevents one of the single most expensive repairs you can face on a twin-turbo engine. Here is the problem that almost nobody talks about. Every time you drive your F-150 hard, and I mean highway driving, towing, acceleration runs, anything that puts the engine under load, those turbos are spinning at full speed. The oil that lubricates the turbo bearings is circulating fast and running hot. Now imagine you pull into your driveway after a long highway run. You park the truck, you shut off the engine, you go inside. The moment that engine shuts off, the oil pump stops. Oil stops circulating immediately, but the turbos do not stop immediately. They keep spinning on their own momentum for another 30 seconds to a minute after the engine is off, spinning fast, but now with no oil flowing through the bearings. The oil that was inside the turbo housing when you shut off the engine, that hot, heat-soaked oil, it just sits there, stationary, against hot metal, and it bakes. Over time, that baked oil forms deposits on the turbo bearings and shaft. It restricts the turbo's range of motion, reduces boost efficiency, accelerates wear, and eventually, after enough heat cycles, enough cold shutdowns after hard runs, it causes the kind of turbo damage that requires full replacement. A single turbocharger replacement on the EcoBoost 3.5 at a dealership costs between $1,800 and $3,200, depending on parts and labor in your area. Both turbos, you are looking at $5,000 to $6,500 minimum. The fix is so simple, it almost feels too easy. After any hard drive, highway, towing, anything where the engine was working, find a safe spot before you park and let the engine idle for 3 to 5 minutes before shutting it off. That is it. By letting it idle, you keep the oil pump running. Oil keeps flowing through the turbo bearings while they spin down naturally and cool off gradually. The oil does not bake. The bearings stay clean. The turbos last the life of the truck. Every long-haul trucker in America does this automatically. Every diesel technician teaches this on day one. Performance car owners know this instinctively. But the average F-150 owner? Nobody ever told them. Set a timer on your phone. 3 minutes. Every time you get home from a long drive. That habit alone could save you $6,000. 2 down, 3 to go. And I promise you, the next one is going to catch most of you completely off guard, because it involves a part of your F-150 that Ford specifically engineered for the EcoBoost, a separate system that is on your truck right now, and that the vast majority of owners have never once looked at. All right. Number 3. And this is the one that I genuinely believe catches more F-150 owners off guard than anything else I cover in this video. Because it is not just about checking your coolant. It goes much deeper than that. And Ford actually engineered this specifically for the EcoBoost, which means if you have a different engine, this does not apply to you the same way. But if you have the 3.5 EcoBoost, you need to understand exactly what I'm about to tell you. The EcoBoost 3.5 has two separate coolant circuits running simultaneously under your hood. Two separate circuits. One coolant circuit handles the main engine block, the cylinders, the head, the traditional cooling system that every engine has. This is the one most people know about. This is the reservoir most people check. The big white translucent tank near the front of the engine bay. The second coolant circuit exists specifically and exclusively to cool the twin turbochargers. It is a completely separate loop, separate reservoir, different coolant formulation, different service interval, different failure modes, and here is the part that should get your attention. These two circuits are not connected, they do not share fluid, they age at different rates under different heat loads, and they need to be inspected and maintained completely independently of each other. I cannot tell you how many times I have had an F-150 owner in my shop, a careful owner, someone who checks their fluids regularly, who had no idea the second reservoir even existed. They had been checking the main coolant for years and feeling good about it. Meanwhile, the turbo coolant circuit had been slowly degrading for 60,000 miles without a single inspection. When turbo coolant goes acidic, and it will given enough time and heat cycles without maintenance, it starts corroding the cooling passages inside the turbo housing from the inside out. You cannot see this happening. There is no warning light for it. The truck runs completely normally right up until the moment the turbo coolant passage fails and you lose turbo cooling entirely. At that point, you are looking at a repair bill between $4,000 and $7,000, depending on how much damage has been done. So here is what you do. Once a month, or at bare minimum once every 3 months, you are going to check both reservoirs. And here is how. First and most important, the engine must be completely cold before you open anything. Not warm, not slightly cool, cold. If you drove the truck in the last 2 hours, wait. Opening a pressurized coolant system on a hot engine is dangerous, and I am not going to let you hurt yourself over something this simple. Step 1. Locate the main coolant reservoir. It is the larger, white, translucent plastic tank, typically near the front driver's side of the engine bay. You can see the fluid level through the tank without opening it. Check that the level sits between the M-ion and max markings on the side of the tank. Step 2. Locate the secondary turbo coolant reservoir. On most F-150 EcoBoost models, this is a smaller tank, often tucked further back toward the firewall, sometimes on the passenger side of the engine bay. It is smaller and easier to miss. Check that level as well. Step 3. Look at the color of both fluids. Ford specifies Motorcraft Orange Coolant for the EcoBoost cooling system. If either reservoir shows fluid that is brown, rusty, cloudy, or has any floating particles or sediment visible, that fluid needs to be flushed and replaced. Do not top it off. Do not add fresh fluid on top of degraded fluid. Flush it completely. Step 4. And this is the one most people skip entirely. Once a year, use a coolant test strip. You can find a pack of 10 strips on Amazon for about $8. Dip a strip in the coolant, wait 30 seconds, and compare the color to the chart on the package. You are checking for two things: pH level and freeze protection. If the pH reading shows acidic, below 7 on the scale, your coolant has lost its corrosion inhibitors. It is no longer protecting your engine. It is actively corroding it. At that point, you need a full flush immediately, regardless of how the fluid looks visually. A coolant flush on the EcoBoost 3.5 done at a shop costs between $100 and $150. Done yourself with the right flush kit, it costs about $30 and an afternoon. Compared to a $4,000 turbo repair from neglected coolant, that is one of the best investments you will ever make in your truck. Now, number 4. And this one surprises people because it seems so small, so simple. But the data behind it is very clear, and I have seen it play out in my shop more times than I can count. The EcoBoost 3.5 uses a high-pressure direct injection fuel system. The fuel injectors in this engine operate at pressures up to 2,900 psi. For comparison, A standard port injection system operates at maybe 60 psi. The EcoBoost injectors are running at nearly 50 times that pressure. At that kind of pressure, fuel quality and fuel system cleanliness matter enormously. A small amount of contamination that a regular engine would handle without issue can cause real problems in a direct injection system running at 3000 psi. And here is the habit that most F-150 owners have that is slowly shortening the life of their fuel injectors without them knowing it. They run the tank all the way down to empty, or close to it. I understand why. Gas is expensive. You want to get every mile out of every gallon. I get it. But here is what is happening at the bottom of that tank. Over time, sediment, rust particles, and contaminants settle to the lowest point of your fuel tank. When the tank is full, your fuel pickup sits well above that layer of contamination. The pump draws clean fuel from the middle of the tank, but when you run it down to the last quarter tank, and especially when you run it to the last few gallons, the fuel pickup starts pulling from that bottom layer, the dirty layer, the contaminated layer. That contaminated fuel then travels through your high-pressure fuel pump, through your fuel lines, and gets delivered to those precision injectors at 2,900 psi. High-pressure injectors and sediment and rust particles are not compatible. The injector tips get worn. The spray pattern degrades, fuel economy drops, power drops, and eventually the injectors need to be cleaned or replaced. A professional fuel injector cleaning service at a dealership costs between $300 and $600. Full injector replacement on the EcoBoost 3.5 runs between $800 and $1,400 for the set. The fix is one simple rule. Never let your tank drop below a quarter full. That is the whole habit. Keep fuel in the tank. Keep the pickup above the sediment layer. Protect the injectors. And the bonus habit, every 5,000 miles, add 1 bottle of quality fuel system cleaner directly into your tank before you fill up. Not the cheap generic brand from the dollar bin. Look specifically for a cleaner that says it is compatible with high-pressure direct injection systems on the label. Products like BG44K, Techron Concentrate Plus, or Liquimoly Jectron have been tested for DI systems and work well in the EcoBoost. A bottle costs between $12 and $20. It dissolves carbon deposits on the injector tips before they can harden into permanent damage. $12 to $20 every 5,000 miles, against an $800 injector replacement. You do that math. Before I get to number 5, which I genuinely believe is the most important thing in this entire video, I want to ask you something. Out of the 4 things we have covered so far, the oil viscosity, the turbo cooldown, the dual coolant system, the fuel habit, which one did you not know about before you started watching this video today? Drop it in the comments right now. Just type the number 1, 2, 3, or 4. I read every single comment on this channel, and your answer genuinely helps me figure out what to cover next. If most of you didn't know about the dual coolant circuit, I need to make a dedicated full-length video just on that topic alone, because that is information that could save thousands of dollars for a lot of people. So go ahead, drop your number in the comments. It takes 5 seconds, and it directly shapes what I create next. All right, number 5, the big one. Let's go. Number 5, the check I do on every single F-150 that comes into my shop. Every time, without exception, for 25 years. And before I tell you what it is, I want to set the stage for a moment, because I think the only way to truly understand why this matters is to understand what I have seen happen when it goes wrong. I had a customer, guy named Frank, been bringing his trucks to me for 12 years, who came in about 2 years ago with an F-150 that had developed a rough idle. Not terrible, just a slight roughness. Sometimes a faint smell of oil, nothing dramatic. Frank had about 94,000 miles on his EcoBoost 3.5. Well-maintained truck, all his services on time, good owner. We ran diagnostics, nothing definitive on the scanner. I did a full inspection and found what I was looking for almost immediately. His PCV valve had failed, completely failed, and it had been failing slowly for probably the last 15,000 miles. By the time we caught it, the crankcase pressure had been pushing oil past the valve cover gaskets, contaminating the intake manifold, coating the back of the intake valves with a thick layer of baked carbon, and slowly pressurizing the engine block in ways it was never designed to handle. The PCV valve itself cost $22. The repair bill to address the damage that had been done by the failed PCV valve over those 15,000 miles was $4,800, including intake valve cleaning, new gaskets, intake manifold cleaning, and labor. $22 part, $4,800 repair. And the worst part, and this is what I want you to really hear, there was no warning. The check engine light never came on. There were no error codes. Frank had no idea anything was wrong until the rough idle appeared, and by that point the damage was already done. This is what the PCV system is and why it matters so much specifically for the EcoBoost. PCV stands for positive crankcase ventilation. It is a valve, usually a small plastic or rubber component, that manages the pressure inside your engine's crankcase. The crankcase is the lower part of the engine that houses the crankshaft and contains the oil. When your engine runs, a small amount of combustion gases, called blow-by gases, leak past the piston rings into the crankcase. This is completely normal. Every internal combustion engine experiences blow-by. It is a natural byproduct of how engines work, and it is accounted for in the engineering. The PCV valve's job is to route those blow-by gases back up through the intake system where they get burned in the combustion cycle. Clean, efficient, controlled. The crankcase pressure stays within the designed range. The engine breathes properly. Everything works as intended. When the PCV valve fails, and they do fail, especially under the high heat loads that a twin-turbo engine generates, that controlled system breaks down completely. The blow-by gases have nowhere to go. Pressure builds up in the crankcase beyond what the seals and gaskets were designed to handle. That excess pressure forces oil past every weak point it can find: valve cover gaskets, front and rear main seals, any gasket that is not perfectly sealed. You start losing oil without seeing any external leak under the truck. It is going into the intake system. It is coating the intake valves with carbon. It is contaminating the air charge going into the cylinders. The oil consumption you might be noticing, the level dropping between changes without any visible leak, could very well be a failing PCV valve, not a serious internal engine problem, just a $20 part. But if you ignore it long enough, that $20 problem becomes a very serious internal engine problem. Here is the 60-second test. Do this once a month. No tools required. Step 1. Start the engine and let it reach full operating temperature. The engine needs to be fully warm for this test to give you accurate results. Give it about 10 minutes of running time. Step 2. With the engine idling, locate the PCV valve on your EcoBoost 3.5. It is mounted on the valve cover, the large cover on top of the engine. There will be a hose connected to it. Follow the hose from the valve cover and you will find it. Step 3. Carefully disconnect the hose from the PCV valve. Just the hose end. Do not remove the valve itself. Be careful around the hot engine components. Step 4. Place your thumb firmly over the open end of the hose. A healthy, functioning PCV system will create a clear, steady vacuum pull against your thumb. You will feel it trying to pull your thumb into the hose. That is the crankcase pressure being properly vented. That is exactly what you want to feel. If instead you feel pressure pushing outward against your thumb, gases pushing out instead of pulling in, your PCV valve is failing. The crankcase is overpressurized. If you feel nothing at all, no pull, no push, the PCV valve is completely blocked. That is actually the worst case scenario because it means pressure has been building with nowhere to go. Step 5. While the hose is disconnected, shine a flashlight into the open end of the hose and look inside. A small amount of oil mist coating is normal, but if you see heavy oil coating, drips, or thick oil residue built up inside the hose, that is additional evidence of PCV failure, and you should replace the valve immediately. A new PCV valve for the EcoBoost 3.5 costs between $15 and $40 at any auto parts store. Installation takes about 15 minutes with basic hand tools. It is one of the most cost-effective maintenance items on the entire truck. Replace it at 100,000 miles regardless of how it tests. At that mileage, it has been through enough heat cycles that preventive replacement is the smart move. Now let me bring everything together, because I want to make sure you leave this video with a clear, simple action plan you can actually use starting today. 5 checks, once a month, less than 15 minutes total. Number 1, check your oil level and condition with the dipstick. Top off if needed. If the oil is dark and gritty, change it regardless of mileage. And if you are not already running 0W40 or 5W40 full synthetic with ACA A3 B4 spec, make that switch at your next oil change. Your turbos will thank you. Number 2, after any hard drive, any highway run, any towing session, let the engine idle for 3 to 5 minutes before shutting it off. Keep that oil circulating through the turbo bearings while they cool down. This one habit alone has saved more turbos than I can count. Number 3, check both coolant reservoirs. The main engine coolant and the separate turbo coolant circuit. Both should be at the correct level and show clean orange fluid. Once a year, test the pH with a coolant strip. If it is acidic, flush it immediately. Number 4, never run below a quarter tank of fuel. And every 5,000 miles, add a bottle of high-pressure, direct injection compatible fuel system cleaner before filling up. Keep those injectors clean. Number 5, once a month, warm up the engine and do the PCV valve thumb test. Takes 60 seconds. If you feel pressure instead of vacuum, replace the valve. $20 now versus thousands of dollars later. That is it. That is the entire system. 5 simple checks that the dealership will never tell you about and that separate the F-150 owners who hit 300,000 miles from the ones who don't. I want to be honest with you about something before we wrap up. I could charge for this information. Some mechanics do. There are paid courses online that cover less than what I just gave you for free in this video. But that has never felt right to me. Because this is not complicated information. It is not secret knowledge that should be locked behind a paywall. It is basic mechanical understanding that every person who owns one of these trucks deserves to have access to. You spent good money on your F-150. You work hard. You need that truck to show up for you every single day. The least I can do is make sure you know how to protect that investment. If this video helped you, and I genuinely hope it did, the one thing I ask is simple. Subscribe to this channel. Every week I put out content exactly like this. Real information based on real experience working on real trucks. No sponsored content telling you to buy products you don't need. No filler. No wasted time. Just the stuff that actually matters. There is a community of F-150 owners here who are serious about taking care of their trucks the right way. People who want to hit that 300,000 mile mark. People who refuse to let the dealership take advantage of them. That is who this channel is for. Hit subscribe. It is free. It takes 1 second, and you will be part of something that genuinely helps people take care of what they own. I will see you in the next one. Take care of your truck, and your truck will take care of you.